Welcome. Today we will be discussing the NextGen Design System Library. So let's get to it. The NextGen Design System Library is in progress, and we will be demoing this today and discussing how it will be updated in the future. And once we discuss this design system library, we will also be discussing how the design system library is used in the final designs in many of the 3.0 designs. And so this was a quick reference guide that we will go through for the final designs in the 3.0 world that have been using the 3.0 design system. And we'll have a demo file and discussion to be able to put some context into what we're learning today. So to start off, we're going to jump right into going into Figma and going into the NextGen Web Design System folder directory, which you have a link for. This should be available to all team members. Please reach out to Josephine if you're not able to get into this and see this screen. Otherwise, follow on. At this moment, you'll see that we have 3 files in this directory. Again, this directory is the NextGen Web Design System in the AssetMark Digital Projects Figma folder in September 2024, if you're watching this video at a later time. What you'll find is the NextGen Web Design System Guide here. I'm going to double click on it to open it up. And here we'll see that cover. We'll see an update log, which will have what you would expect, the information you might need as to when it was last updated. And then we're going to just get right into the file here. You'll see that it's broken up into a few sections. This section is called the NextGen Web Design System Librarian Toolkit. It goes through the mission statement. It goes through what the project directory is for and how this pairs with the UI. And then there'll be a table of contents that goes through all that we're talking about here. That is a work in progress. So the NextGen Design System Guide here starts off with some helper components. So if you look into this, we've got an introduction. We've got this is an introduction on how to get into the design system libraries. You're gonna be able to like sign in using Figma, using your AssetMark SSO. Um, Here are some questions that you might want to ask yourself if you're thinking about creating a new design and submitting a new design to be a component. And we can get back into that, but that's where you might come to find like information you might want to consider when creating a new request for a component to be added to this design system. And since we're here, I'll go into it real quickly. But you'll see in this, you'll see the design system has typography, it has breakpoints, it has spacing, it has colors and states, it has font weights, and then it has all these styles, which include the the text styles and the colors and the grid, which is what you're seeing here. And the shadows, the overlay, the hover states, um, the elevation, all of that is contained within our design system library. And it is always safe to add to file if you ever get prompted to. All you're adding is what you see here in the Assets tab. This is your design system file here, coming in directly into your file so that you have direct access to all of the components that are in the design system library. So that's what that screen capture is there for. You definitely want to add to file. That is a big yes. And and then you'll see it as you see here in my file. Uh, this is the eWealth Manager 3.0 design system, and this is the library file of all the components. So we're going to go through that today, and um, did I want to go through that today and uh, look at what we have to work with. So let's get after it. So we're going back to the Layers tab. And again, where we are in the Layers tab, I'm using the Zoom key here to be able to zoom in. We've got some documentation here and a checklist if you just want to use it to kind of like consider a guide to, and it gives you some information here. Um, when you've created a component and you're thinking, I want to add this to the design system, that's just some things to consider. To do that, there is a process for that. That is, first of all, just reach out to Josephine, Jason, or myself, and we can start like discussing it and deciding if it is something we will be adding to the design system. Now, the next part of this design system are the grid and the design helper component. So that's what we have, and we'll go through that in a second. And then after that, we have the design system accessibility guidance. And this has like compliance resources for both designers and developers, QA, if they need to like follow up on things. And in this case, some of the stuff that's been coming up and some of the things that we want designers to make sure that they're designing for at the 2.0 level, we're not asking for more than 2.0, that's double A. We've got our contrast minimum, our contrast enhanced, and our non-text contrast. That's for anything, obviously, that's not text. So that's your icons, that's your graphics, that's your hover states. And then if we want to get really into it, here's really more into specifically into content on hover or focus and when color changes. And then there's some information on gradients, background images, and transparencies. All of that has some rules and regulations around them that we may or may not need to follow. And that's up to you to kind of like look into that and make sure that it passes. There are tools to use, there are links available to just run through, to just like run your design through to make sure that it passes the minimum requirements for double A. So again, you can, as you see, even though it doesn't look like it, these are clickable links that you can get information and be able to be on your way to figuring out if your design is compliant. And if you're a developer coming here and you want to know more about ARIA, if there's like some kind of like new modal with a scrolling text inside of it that needs an ARIA tag, this will help with what the criteria is, what success looks like, and what they might need to do. But this is not a design specific issue. This is a developer specific. The developer may need to come to the designer and say, what do I put here? And then they can work from there. But the developer decides if it really does need an ARIA tag or not, um, to to meet the 2.0 requirements. There are cases where it is required. It's usually when there's menu bars, sliders, multi-select grids, tree views, and more. Um, there are rules and regulations around that that have been around for a while, so they can check that out for more information. And then what we have next are the foundations, our templates, and then our components. So just backing up real quick, so far we got our cover, we got our update date, we've got our mission and like links to where the UI should be reflecting what we see in the design file for the finished components. If not, they're on their way. We've got our grid helper tools, how to set up your file in Figma so that you're always pushing that big nudge to 8. And again, that's going to Figma, going to your libraries, and going to Figma, going to your preferences, going into nudge amount, and making sure it's 8. So we've got our spacing blocks, which we can demo at a later time. But essentially, you take I'm just gonna make a copy of it. So here I have, and I'm gonna like zoom in so it makes a little bit more sense. 160 is quite large, but say 24. Um, say I have I want to make sure look, my line height is definitely 24. Do you see how it snapped to that? And I can like do a horizontal or a vertical, which looks to be mixed. And I have this on a translucent so that you can like just like make sure if you need to like this is not the best example, but if you need to like check things out and make sure that you can like everything is really snapping to the grid. This is a good way as a designer to like if you have a complex design to overlay and quickly do that. So that's just like a little helper utility. We've got the responsive breakpoints and the responsive grid template that has the header footer in it, and we'll get to that in a minute. So we've got it. This is the default at 1440. You'll see that we can do the grid. We can do the grid at various. Again, if you can't see it, you do Shift G. So whenever you can't see the grid, and assuming you're on a Mac, you're doing Shift G. That is what you're doing to be able to see it. So now you're seeing, I'm gonna just back out here a little bit. So here are all of our different viewport sizes you're seeing here in the components. These are all instances of the same component. And you can select the one that you need. Most commonly, you'll be using the 1440 by 900 uh, 3-column grid, the 900 there. That is the viewport size for above the fold. You can certainly extend beyond the fold, but know that anything below the 900 will be, the user will have to scroll down 900 pixels to begin to see any content below that 900 pixel threshold. Anything above it in the 1440 is considered above the fold. So, and there's more information provided here. Here in the responsive breakpoints in their templates, you've got a general section here, and a little bit of a guide to like help you choose which default grid to start your designs, what the properties are, what the columns are, what their options are, and then if you have any requests to like you need an update to it to any of these templates or something like that, that can be considered. We will have a discussion in a design review, and if so, it will be put in the backlog, and I will give you an update on the status when and if it's completed, and we will go from there. And that goes for pretty much any kind of component. You need a component, you want an update, you want something just reach out to Josephine, Jason, or myself, and we'll have that discussion. We'll consider it, and we'll come back with some resources, and or letting you know that we're on our way of developing it. Again, so we were talking about the design of the responsive grid and just overviewing that. And now we have the accessibility guidelines. Then we have the design foundations. So we're talking about the color styles here, and this what they're calling the color cheat sheet. We have our primary brand colors, we have our secondary, our tertiary, and our graphing colors. Yes, it says tertiary green and it has a bin hex. The secondary 10 pixel dash background, we will be talking a little bit more about this later, but this color EEF7EB, as you can see, it has a color token assigned to it, and that color token is color secondary 10P. So secondary 10P is the name of the color token. And that will come in handy when we start talking about color tokens in a moment. Okay, the moment has come. Talking about color tokens now. Here you can see that here is that primary color token with the numbers, with the 50p, 30p, 12p, 8p, etc. Main, dark, light, lightest. These are all the color tokens that are shared with our UI team, and these are the ones that are these colors are tokenized both in Figma and on the UI side, and we share the same name. So there are a lot of advantages to that, and we can go into that in another time, especially if it's a section just on color and color accessibility. So right now, these are our main primary colors. These are our main secondary colors. These are our tertiary colors. Now, if I click on something like this, I'm going to spend uh, trying to like get things a little bit bigger and so you can see it here. So if you follow my mouse here, if I click on the color sections here inside of Figma, you'll see that I have all of these colors, and these colors are based on that color token library and that color token. So all of these colors will be a one-to-one match, and inside of both Figma and the UI and the code in Storybook. So that's one of the advantages here. So all of the colors that are in your designs should be used with this palette, which is quite extendable. You should be able to find a color that you need to stay on brand within all of these options here. So again, in Figma, you can just, select the color within the color, because the design system, all of your files, you'll be able to like have that option. You'll be able to see the colors um, because you're using the design system. And here are our text colors. We've got just so you can see it, we got primary text, secondary disabled menu, etc. So even white we have. So color styles for the benefits program, and here we can talk about it in a little bit. We have our hover, active, pressed, and more states. So that is kind of the color styles and the graphic colors. One thing I'm going to say about it is that please read this, and it will tell you that you must follow this order. If this is bothering you, Shift G, and you get rid of the zebra stripes. Um, but the order of these colors are to be followed. So if you have a graph with 3 bars, it's going to be these three colors. If it's going to be four or five, you're going to stop here, but you're not going to select a color number 12 and put it in instead of color number four. You have to keep the same order. So that's something I want to stress. It is spelled out um, for you in here, but that's why the order is the way it is um, here. So please do follow this order. Um, Here's the elevation and shadows. All the information you need should be here, and you should be able to follow that. See where it says elevation drop down. You'll be able to select this and be able to use it in your shadows in your designs. Typography, the same thing. This is also tokenized. I'm going to zoom in real quick. So the token is H1 Light 48. The tokens and the names of the font styles are based on the UI. It looks like considering, and you just think about when you're using Google Sheets or Microsoft Word or something where you're like selecting the you are selecting the H1, the H2, the H3 in the drop downs. It's the same idea here and how these tokens have been named. So do consider that pattern when you're doing your designs and you're selecting. But in the but we'll talk about soon. We'll talk about like where to find what other designers are doing and what sizes of text are they selecting and using. uh, when are they using the subtitle header and subtitle bold? When are they using the body medium bold and all of that? We will be talking about that soon. So anyways, this is the foundations for typography, foundations for icons, um, foundations for icon buttons where it has different states. Just to show real quick, it has like so for the revert button, it has the hover state, the press, the active, and the disabled. The flag button has a press state and an active state. And one of the differences here is that the icon goes solid when you're in a table or a chart and you flag something. So all of that is part of the icon buttons and the asset mark logos and branding. Now we have some design templates here, and I'll go back to it real quick, but I just want to mention that we have a lot of components now that um, can be used and reused in your designs, and we can also work on getting more as needed. So an example of this here we have um, this notification bar is interactive. It'll work. We're gonna test that out in a second. It has all these different options. So it can be informational, it can be success, and you'll see that the icon is changing, the color is changing, the text is changing. And we can turn like the close button on and off. So um, it's a persistent um, and there are a lot of options. We can you know turn off the title, just have it, um, and so it's pretty versatile and more. So here are different modals, and as you can see, we have several options here right now to be able to begin um, building a design. So we'll do that in a second. The other two I just want to show real quick. We've got templates here for the notifications, and for the character limits. So I'm gonna like zoom in real quick. And I have it spelled out here how many characters, but you can also see it. And then after the characters, it will truncate. Um, and it may not seem like much in these larger screens, but when you start to get down to like 768, depending on like if it's a household header, if it's a client header, it's an advisor header, if it's the main header, um, it's gonna have like say like 3 letters maybe total. In this case, maybe we need to like come up with some policy on abbreviations and things like that. But that's like where we're headed with putting the templates in here and bringing all of this together. So real quick, I'm going to now um, do a quick demo of a file. So here, the demo files and discussions are using the NextGen design system library. And I am going to. Uh, so earlier today, I looked at this file with many other people, and we decided to create a quick modal experience. So I grabbed the responsive grid template component at 1440. And let me just turn on that grid so you can see it. It may not be that useful. Maybe we want to go with like say a 12 column grid. That's a little bit more useful. And maybe we just want to like bring this, we can zoom in to make sure it's perfect. But you can see that it'll start snapping the grid. But here we have, I know that the math is 1392. So I'm just going to type it in. So that's going to be, and then you see it snap to the grid. Um, and so what we're going to see here is I'm going to turn this off because it's a little distracting. And to do that, I'm doing Shift G. Um, Here we have our notification, and let's just do a caution. And let's take away the garbage stuff. To do that, I'm doing it right in this panel here in Figma and cleaning it right up. I don't have to like try to dig into my Figma file for that. And so here is like we have this again, this is a demo. It's not um doing this quickly. So we have this responsive grid, we have this notification bar, we have this modal here. All right. I think that maybe the design might be a little bit different on a tablet. So how would I go about that? So I'm going to go to my assets, and I am going to, again, I'm in my demo file here, and I'm going to go into my assets. My library here is coming from the design system. I can go to updates and see if there's any updates. There's, and it's saying that there was a chip update published 6 days ago. I don't understand why it's coming in now when I wanted to update before. So I'm just gonna say, yeah, I don't want to deal with that. I don't understand why. I'm not using the chip anyways, so I'm just gonna ignore it and come back to my file. And that's okay. That's a time when you wouldn't want to do an update. But if it is something that you're working on, maybe you do want to. So in this case, we don't. So what in this case, we want this grid component. See this grid component here? Is this what we want? No, this says basic. No, we don't want basic. We want the responsive one. So we're going to go to the responsive grid component. and it's opening up at 1440, but we want to get that small tablet size. So why don't we just put it right next to it? So we got the small tablet size, and this is our main, 1440. And let's turn on the grid. Let's go the 2 column grid. We can't see it again. Shift G turns on the grid. All right. So we said we want to do the same thing but different, right? It's the same thing, but it's going to have to look different because it's on a smaller width. So what's the first thing we need? We need that notification bar. So we're going to go to the notification bar. We're just going to click on it and look. In this notification bar, we have all these options just right here that we can deal with. And we even have like variable spacing that we have in pixels here. So I'm going to say I want a danger. And I'm just going to say um, danger zone. And then I'm just going to like keep this the same, right? And then I'm going to say insert instance. And here I don't even have to like, oh, what did I do? I say, I'm like, oh, no, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to drag it. If I don't know what the size is, look, it's completely responsive. So I'm going to like make sure it like lines up to the responsive breakpoints. And I'm going to like say, oh, let's do the math. This is 720. I'm gonna update that from 719 is easier than pushing a pixel. And well, let's just like this is I'm holding down shift and I'm like, now this is where I'm not really sure if this is I don't wanna so I'm gonna go up to my spacing grid here and I'm gonna pull it out. I got this 24. Let's see, do I want it to be 24? No, I want it to be 32. Do I want it to be 32? Let's see. So I'm gonna go up here. I think I want it to be 32. So I'm gonna just like drag it down till it's 32. And now I know that it's 32. Um, but and if I wanted to, I could turn it to 24 because sometimes I feel like it should be 24. Maybe I should go over here and do the same thing. Okay, so it snaps to it when it hits the red. So that's an example of how I'm using the spacing grid specification. Now I need the modal, so I can either search for it or just scroll down. Remember, everything's in alphabetical order, so I'm just gonna grab the modal, and so I grabbed and drag it. So let me just show you what it's like. So I have the options here of what buttons um I need. Say I decide that and that maybe I want it to be 40%. Um so then I say insert instance and here I go. Here is my modal. Um and my modal is a little bit different um just because the shape of the viewport, this one is more rectangular, this one is more vertical. This one's more horizontal, this one's more vertical. So there is how I would use this. And now I'm gonna like do Shift G to be able to see this. And here we have the modals in place using the design system. We have used the notification um, and been able to use it as a responsive component within the design. It's flexible enough to work with any size screen to up to a point, and those sizes are probably too small. So this is how, let's go back to the layers here. Um, this is how we can. So this is build. So this is this section here. These are some of the components that are available for. So all this is just like dragging. Um, well, I guess that's not a good example. I guess I shouldn't just drag. Um, but all these oh, sorry, I thought I was in the assets. All these examples here. So assets are where all of the components live that you can drag or click on and insert. Um, it's under your assets tab. And your layers is where your design is, and this should be anything that's purple is a component. So these are all instances of a component, and it does say components here. And then this is maybe for another time, but this would be a demo to help understand how components are updated. So today we're in the September 10th, 2024 demo file and demo page. And we created together a design for a modal and a notification with a responsive header and global header and footer, in both the 1440 and a 768 size. And now I'm going to go to the final design library file. I'm going to show you where um, I I got it from coming to the NextGen web design system and double clicking on the blue file here. So if I click here and I am entering the file, I'm going to turn that off. You're going to see, I'm going to zoom in real quick. You're going to see like there's the client section, there's the dashboard, there's the advisor insights, there's the BIC modal, and then there is the download and print. All of these are available for you to use and refer to as you create your own designs using the design system. So this is the final design quick reference library. So this too will be updated, and new designs as they've been approved and brought to production will also be appearing here. So this should be one of your first stops to be able to like get inspiration for your designs. And if you need help with a new project, just contact Josephine. She may have some like designs that aren't in this guide yet, and that she's working on. The one thing that we want to make sure that you do not do is do not break apart any of these components. If you find a component file within these files, if you copy this, bring it into your file, and it's a component, which would be purple, not blue in this case. Remember, purple is the color for components. You're you're working with a live file or a live wire, and it will impact everyone's design. So please don't do that. And if you have any questions, just reach out to Josephine, Jason, or myself, and we'll work on getting you pointed in the right direction with the right components, and helping you support you in your needs to be able to uh, continue to follow the same styles, the same guides, the same design patterns to be able to make a cohesive application. So here you see in the dashboard, we've got these various tiles. And as I mentioned earlier, that previewing, I said that the color graphics need to be in a certain way. And that's why we're seeing the dark blue, the teal color blue, and then this green. That is the order that we looked at earlier. And that is the order that you're seeing here in this pie chart. So do remember that the design system is also telling you some of the rules and some of the governance, and that's what's something that QA will be looking out for. Um, so these are some of the designs that you would be finding if you brought yourself into this file and checked it out. So you, as you notice, like not all of these files are being created at above the fold, but still know that, like, say for example, in this example, this is the last 53 pixels or something of this file. So if you're not like sure, I don't know what 56 pixels, sorry, 53 pixels are. You can go to your assets. You can go to here, right? So I got 24. So let's go to like 48. We can go to 48, right? So 48 plus a few more, or if we just want to like go up to 64, right? So 64 pixels. This is the amount that'll be cut off um from your view, um because the flow, sorry, the flow, the the above the fold view is going to be cut off right at this line here, which works in this design. But if you want to know and you want to check and you don't want to do any measurements, this is the quick way to do that. So, and again, I want to show that even though that the beginning template that we saw for the responsive grid component, that's just to get you started. But most designs most likely will go beyond that above the fold, but that is to emphasize what that above the fold is, so that you are aware and your product owners are aware, developers are aware of what you're designing above the fold versus what you're designing below the fold, because that can and does matter. So in here in BIC, this is the last one. This is the BIC modal. So this is a modal flow example, and we've got um, badges, we've got search, we've got download, we've got notifications, we've got all different kinds of components in use here that we saw earlier in this session. So this is how you would be grabbing and using the various components to put together your designs. And the last one we're going to see today is the download and print sample flow. So here, and I'm going to take this out, we've got the household, so we've got the double header, we've got the global header and navigation, we've got the household header and navigation, we've got the table and the search and the filter and the print experience and the column customization and the double scrolling um, complex table. And here we have the print experience, where if the user prints the page, they get the client's list, they get this, opens up the print experience, and then they get if they're hovering over the report, This is the experience they see, and this is the new window modal that they get when they're going to create a report, and so on. So this is examples of how designers, and again, these you can click on the production file to see the actual file, and you can click to see directly talk to the designer who created the design. So in this case, it's Jason and Josephine. So please direct your questions to them on questions depending on the designs that they've created. And do start when you enter this file with reading the how to use or the readme file here. And that again is all found in the files um, located in the NextGen web design system. There's a lot more resources available in Confluence, and there are many ways to find that information. One of the good ways is just using the search and looking for digital design. Just typing in digital design will take you right to us. Otherwise, reach out to someone and we'll be happy to send you a link. Thank you and happy designing.